participants, so we can wait for 2-3 more minutes, then we will start.
Sure, sure.
Can you call me after 5 minutes?
Sir, I think we should start. Participant will join in between.
Sure.
Yeah. So let me introduce participants. Today we have Dr. Kaushal Bhatt. He is Associate Professor at Graduate School of Management Studies. He is also a coordinator of Internal Quality Assessment Assurance Cell, that is a part of GTU. He has more than 15 years of experience. He earned his PhD from Saurashtra University, and he also holds accredited management teaching certificate from IMA. It's All India Management Association. So he more than 50 presented paper in more than 50 international and national journal. He has published 50 plus research papers in reputed journal and international conference. He also receives 7 best paper award from national and international conference. So he also a member of various reputed journal, editorial member of various journals. So over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir, for a nice introduction. Uh, Good afternoon, all the participants, and I hope I am audible properly. Sir, am I audible properly? Naveen, sir?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
you are
okay, thank
audible,
you.
sir.
Okay, okay. So thank you so much for the invitation and a nice introduction. Now, without wasting the time, because already we are a little bit late. So let me begin today's discussion. It's a very great initiative, I would say, from Dr. Naveen regarding the fintech, right? And that is what actually the future is. And we have been discussing this particular arena with this particular domain since few days. Yesterday was the first day, and today we are on the second day. I have just gone through the earlier topics which have been taken. So my the area today, the discussion topic is a little bit, no doubt it is related to fintech only, but it is more related with the startups, because we see that and we have been looking into the startup system since many years. This word was not common earlier, right? But after 2016 probably, the central government has initiated many initiatives, and one of them is Startup India, right? We will talk about that. So I would like to discuss on this startup, and especially the fintech startups, because during COVID, what we observed, what we all of us have observed and experienced also, right? That we could not move out of our houses, we could not move out of our offices, right? And we have to complete all our tasks by sitting in the home or sitting in the offices only. And this fintech, this technology, right? This financial technology, like especially what we carry out our transactions, financial transactions with the help of technology. So that could not have been possible without this fintech development. So it is a need of the hour, I would say. And obviously COVID has many dark sides, and we have all observed many problems during COVID. Maybe a financial problem, maybe a problem with the job, maybe problem with the social life. But I would say that this would be the blessings for this particular industry, of fintech industry. This COVID would be the blessings for this this fintech industry, because in last 2 years this fintech startups, or maybe this fintech technologies, has been grown up like almost 500 percentage during normal period. So obviously it was a curse for entire humanity, what we say entire world pandemic, right? But for this specific segment, the fintech segment, it has taken it positively, and it has grown up like these fintech and the area financial technology has been developed leaps and bounces in this last couple of years. So having said this, I would like to share the PPT, and we will discuss. I will discuss on the fintech startups, startup ecosystem, and all such things. Let me just share. Is my slide is visible?
Yes, sir, visible.
Okay, okay, great, thank you. So this fintech startups, that is what the topic is for my discussion, and we all are the part of this AICTE GTU sponsored FDP on this financial technology fintech, what we call it a nickname or a short name. And this I would like to discuss today on the fintech startups, or the startups which specifically related or based on this financial technology. This would be the outline of my discussion for next 1 hour, 1 hour, 1.5 hour. I would like to start, with the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister regarding startup, what he has vision in his mind, what he has thought, specifically. Then, the startup, over a period of time, the meaning of startup, the definition of startup, or the scope of startup has changed since its launch of Startup India. Then Startup India movement, I would like to discuss little bit of that Startup India movement, key pillars. Then startup ecosystem, I would like to discuss, in the India, what is the startup ecosystem, especially because it is not a very easy task to develop the concepts, to prepare, the mindset of people, to develop entire ecosystem for, uh, entire ecosystem for the development of startups. So I would like to discuss that startup ecosystem. Then I would like to discuss two important, the world indexes or ranking, rather to say. First one that I would like to discuss about the highlights of Global Startup Ecosystem Index, which is just declared in 2021. Every year it is being declared. So I would like to highlight few aspects of the Global Startup Ecosystem Index. And then I would like to just share specifically the Global FinTech Ranking 2021. Right, the country's ranking has been done on the basis of FinTech, right? Global FinTech ranking. Again, different agencies are there, different international agencies are there, those who are doing the task of this indexing and ranking. So I would like to highlight those aspects. Then I would like to touch upon, the top 10 Indian fintech startups. I just wanted to highlight the 2022, right, which are in pipeline, or which is already not in pipeline, but they have already started, the earnings. The startups already are in market. Few are unicorn also. They have already initiated, the generating the revenues in the startup arena. And I would like to conclude at this fintech startup by putting the few promotion schemes which are especially there are all ministries, right? Central government is a, you can say, the primary focus area. This startup would be the primary focus area for all the ministries, and especially I would like to highlight a few schemes of Ministry of Finance, because we are discussing the fintech. And this few schemes of Ministry of Finance I would like to discuss, and then there would be an open house discussion. Even if in between anyone feels to ask question, anyone feels to discuss any point, all participants are free to do that. I actually could not able to see your faces right now because the PPT is there. So you can share, you can unmute yourself, and in between you can ask me the question if you have. So this is the outline, what I would like to discuss in this particular session. So let us start with these vision of our Honorable Prime Minister. We all know, right, in 2016 that the government of India, and especially our Honorable Prime Minister, has declared 7 schemes, or we can say the 7 approaches, 7 schemes for entire India. Like you all know, that is a the Swachh Bharat mission, and maybe Stand Up India, and one of them that is Startup India, right? So in 2016 onwards, the word startup stuck to our mind, and it has been given to all the academic and non-academic areas, the startup, right? This kind of words are now, it is now, we can say it is little bit of regular word, which is which we heard from different segment of the society. Maybe it's a academic institute, they talk about startup. Maybe there is an industry, nowadays they also talk about startup. Maybe there is a segment or sector of the industry, they talk about startup. Maybe there are the NGOs, right? Or maybe there are certain activists, right? They also talk about startups. So now the startup word, it is a little bit we can say frequently spoken word in India. Earlier the scenario was different. Before 2016, before the Stand Up India, or before the Startup India, especially let us talk about Startup India. Before the Startup India, the scenario was different. The people was not ready to or maybe not even habituated to share, to discuss about the startups. But in 2016, our Honorable Prime Minister have given this particular vision, and his vision is something like the startups are the engines for exponential growth. And it has been observed, maybe by him also, and maybe it is a need of the hour also, that when we talk about innovation, when we talk about creativity among students, when we talk about the innovation among students, so there is something new which comes from within, right? The involvement of students, involvement of the entrepreneur, right? The entrepreneurial ability, when it comes to develop the entrepreneurial ability of individual. So what is required, that is the involvement, or we can say the focused involvement is required. So Honorable Prime Minister is of the having vision in his mind that the startups are the engine of exponential growth, manifesting the power of innovation, right? This again, innovation word was not common earlier, right? People just used to say innovate, like how to be innovate. We as a management faculties, because it's a management FDP, so we used to say to our students in the class that you think out of the box, right? Even we today say this to our students also, that you should think out of the box and understand that how the things are being changed. So ultimately, think out of the box is nothing but something innovative idea, something innovative way to resolve or solve the problem, or certain managerial solutions that ultimately would help the society, ultimately would help the industry, ultimately would help the company, and ultimately would boost the name and fame of a manager. So that is what the innovation. And even the startups, like we used to say, and we used to observe also, that there are micro and MSME sector, or there are SME sector, and there is a big big giants also, those who are there into the industry. But when one industry, say one big industry, no doubt it employs thousands of people. But thousands of people would employ, and they start their own business activity, maybe at lower level, maybe at small level, maybe at micro level, we can say. But ultimately, it would multiply the effects of boosting of the economy. So this innovation, our Honorable Prime Minister again of the opinion, they say that several big companies today are startups of the yesterday, right? So we have many such examples, like the Paytm. Who knows Paytm before the demonetization, right? Even before demonetization, the Paytm was launched, the wallet was launched, although there were the limited activities were offered during that time. And after the demonetization, there was a big debate which was going on at the time of demonetization, that is whether it's a cashless economy or less cash economy. right? These two words are, very much spoken during demonetization, that whether it was a less cash economy or whether it is a cashless economy. So ultimately, these small organizations, small startups which have been initiated, before a few years, and again, see, Paytm is one of the example of fintech only, right? It is the biggest success story, we can say, that fintech, biggest success story of Paytm is there. No doubt, I'm not going into the share prices and all such things, but yes, it has proved, it has developed the mindset of people. It has compelled people to move towards the digital payments. Maybe the reason, maybe by force or by choice, again, that's a question, right? These are all, we can say, the variables to get the success of any particular startup. But yes, the big companies, today's unicorn, even, right? Many big companies are there now, the listed companies, we can say, right? It is a listed company, and it was a one-time startup, and they brought a concept of wallet, which was very much new into the society, and people were not ready to even use the plastic money, right? I published a paper, I think, before almost 6 to 7 years regarding the plastic money and digital money, right? So that plastic money and digital money, like, we all used to have the currency notes, right? The paper money, what we exchange with our regular day-to-day use. But over a period of time, the concept has changed from paper money to plastic money. Plastic money that doesn't like that. That's nothing but only the use of cards, like credit cards, debit cards, the special utility cards, right? These all cards we used to call it a plastic money. And now, we have in the arena, we have in the world where the digital money, right, virtual money is being used, like wallets are there, right? We are not supposed to give our card or credit card or debit card to make the payments, but it is just a scan, through our mobile, or with the help of net banking or with the help of mobile banking, right? We can make the payments, right? So again, another the aspect of this reason is that the startups were born with a spirit of enterprise and adventure, kept alive due to hard work and perseverance, and today have become shining bonds of the innovation. So ultimately, our honorable Prime Minister, is of the having that vision in with him, that whatever may be the startups, whatever may be the innovation, whatever may be the initiatives, maybe taken by maybe any specific segment of the society, any small segment of the society, but ultimately, over a period of time, if consistence and persistence, the efforts have been made, if hard work have been made, if the focused work may be carried out, then definitely that startups would be converted into unicorns, and startups may be converted into companies, and startup may be converted into the big giants, or maybe listed, or the Pentagon companies. Ultimately, it would earn name, fame, and money, right? Everything, like that is possible. That is actually the vision of our honorable Prime Minister. 1 minute. Okay. Fine. Okay. So having said this vision, so the startup is, again, we can say this particular word or this particular aspect is a brainchild of our honorable Prime Minister, and this Startup India movement, entire India is now thinking on the startups, now talking about innovation, now focusing on the innovation ecosystem, and we have been looking at to this particular development. Fine. Now, this particular movement, the Startup India movement, I would like to, just focus on this Startup India movement, which was launched in 2016. And over a period of time, the definition of startup has been changed, has been upgraded, rather to say, not changed, but it has been upgraded from 2016 onwards. Right now, today, earlier, when the startup was the concept of startup or Startup India, when it was launched, it was 1 crore, right? The turnover of 1 crore. Any company is having turnover, a new company which has been started or registered not prior to the 5 years from 2016. First condition. Second condition, the condition was 1 crore, right? That is only the turnover of company which is having 1 crore. That is considered as startup. But now today, after 5 years, 7 years of launching of Startup India, looking at to the development and growth of this particular industry or this particular segment, startup segment, entire segment, the definition has been changed, and it is now the 25 crore, right? That the annual turnover not exceeding 25 crore is in the any preceding financial year. That is one of the condition for the startups. And finally, the third one, that is working towards innovation, development, deployment, or commercialization of new products, processes, or services driven by technology or intellect property. Right? This is all about the startup arena. Startup, you can say the scope of the startups. See, it includes everything. If you see that innovation, right? Now, innovation does not limit to one particular industry, one particular segment, one particular society, or one particular industry, or one particular ministry. It does not have any barriers. It does not have any boundaries. Innovation does not have any boundaries. So it includes everything: development and deployment or commercialization of new products or processes. That is also very much important, that many a time when we say innovation does not mean in product only, right? Being a management student, being a management faculty, we as a administration faculty, as a management faculty, we may not develop a product, right? But yes, our students or our faculties or our fraternity, entire management fraternity, can develop the processes, can refine the processes of carrying out the task. That is also called the innovation. So ultimately, see, when it discussed many a times, with the many management faculties, that how can we innovate? How can we, have a startup? How can we have a, how can our students, generally, how can our students, when and see, you probably all know about the SSIP competitions, or maybe hackathons, or which are carried out maybe by state government, by central government, by various ministries. So we always heard and we always feel that management is somewhere neglected, right? Management domain is somewhere neglected. But see, our actually domain is not neglected, but we have to see from the different perspective. No doubt, it is obvious that from the different perspective, these management domain has to be seen. And once the management domain is being observed from innovation, from the process innovation perspective, obviously the role of management student, the role of management faculty, the role of management fraternity would be in topmost. Because technically, when we say the FinTech, or when we say the health tech, or when we say the any other biotech, or any wherever we add technology, so it is always technology is added with the core domain, right? Maybe health, with the health industry, the technology is added. With the finance industry, the technology is added. With the biotechnology, the technology is added, right? But as far as the management domain is concerned, without management perspective, no product or no process would get the success, right? Only preparing a product, only just designing a product is not enough. After designing, after preparing the product, it is required to sell, and sell, not only just sell, but selling with effectiveness, selling with effective utilization of resources. So all such aspects are management aspects. So Startup India has, the third portion of its definition covers everything, that process innovation, service driven driven by technology or intellectual property, right? All such aspects are, included in the Startup India when it was, launched. But over a period of time, say last 7 years, the definitions have been upgraded, the concepts have been upgraded, the meanings have been changed, the scope has been enlarged. So all such thing is done over a period of time after launching, the Startup India movement in 2016. Through, various initiatives, the government plans to empower the startup ventures to boost entrepreneurship, economic growth, and ultimately the employment across India. Right? See, the why government has focused on the startup, because when the startups are going to generate the revenues or going to employ people, it would have the parallel effect similar to the big organizations, and it has also having the multiplying effects, right? When we say the multiplying effect, that means when one person is working, one big industry is working, and 15 other or 20 other or 50 other startups are working maybe in the same or different domain. So obviously the entire economy would boost. Entire economy, at least, the startups, obviously they also are working in a lower level or maybe at a low level compared to the big organizations, but they also, give jobs. They also offer, the jobs to various people. Various technologies are being used in the startups. So ultimately it would boost, the society. And as far as, the government initiatives are concerned, government plans are concerned, see, the you all know that, these government is it's now common, it's very common, the hackathons, right? Recently the SIH, Smart India Hackathon, SIH, is being organized, at central level, Ministry of Education. Earlier it was, HRD, Human Resource Department, or now it is known as Ministry of Education. Even the AICTE has, organized this Smart India Hackathon, or maybe hackathon, based on, the definitions or problem statements of various ministries. Now look at entire system, or look at entire the ecosystem, which has been developed after 2016. Generally, it was not available earlier, that government was working in one direction, academic organizations were working in another direction, industry is working in different direction, and there was no synchronization among all these three important stakeholders of, the society. See, I personally believe that there would be a triangle, right? There would be a love triangle, we can say, between the government, academic institute, and industry. Generally, we observe only academia and industry, right? We may not consider the government as a stakeholder, but I would like to prefer, to put this particular thing in a different way. Generally, we always talk to the industry academia gap and industry academia interaction and all such thing. But I would like to put this government in this between this government, academic, and industry. This is a triangle. This triangle would definitely, if focused by all academicians, by all industry people, and by all government organizations, if all these three important stakeholders of the society would focus on each other, then there would be a very smooth, formation of the policies, implementation of the policies, and the revival, or maybe the fruits what we get from the implementation, that can be measured. So ultimately, these various initiatives that government is taking, as I mentioned, that Smart India Hackathon recently, I'm going to judge one of the sessions also in that Smart India Hackathon. Being an innovation ambassador in last academic year, I have been nominated as the innovation ambassador by Ministry of Education, just to promote this innovation culture, just to promote this startup culture in Gujarat especially, right? From GTU I was nominated, and now I have been trying to carry out this task among management students, because see, many a time we have observed, and I have personally observed that in startup and in innovation, the engineers, those who are having technical skills, they are much have a much good better position compared to our management student. But I used to discuss this particular thing with other universities, with management departments of other universities, that where we can have a process innovation. So these initiatives that central government is taking, this the ecosystem is getting developed into that way. And finally, the startup India, this particular movement, is a revolutionary scheme that has been started to help the people who wish to start their own businesses, right? No doubt, earlier also there were small and medium enterprises, which has, you can say, considered as a startup only because they have started from their own house. They started their business from their own family. We all know that there is an HUF, Hindu undivided family kind of a concept, where your father, forefather, and grandparents are having the business, and the third, fourth, fifth generation of the particular family is into this particular business only. But this particular startup concept, this particular the support concept, right, that has been developed into the startup India movement, under the startup India movement. And these people, those who are actually moving into this particular movement and this development of startup India, it is very much visible in last 5 to 6 years, because in 2016 when it was launched, and then over a period of time when the government support has been given, then the banks have been given the financial support, and the ministries are giving the supports. Even the state and central government, especially the education department, or especially the education department, or maybe especially the department of like innovation has been specifically set up in AICTE, or maybe in Ministry of Education, right? So these all steps from top to bottom, right? All stakeholders, all you can say the beneficiaries, what we can say, right? All beneficiaries have changed their mindset and changed their way of working, and changed their looking at the things, and then the entire ecosystem has getting developed. So further discussing about the startup India movement, there are three main pillar of this startup India movement. Key pillars are three. These are the first one, that is simplification and handholding support. Then the second one, that is industry academic partnership and incubation. And then third one, that is funding support and incentives. Now let us just discuss a few highlights or few things on each of these pillar. So the first pillar, this one, right? Yes, right. This particular talking about this pillar, the simplification and handholding support, right? That simplification in terms of the policies, right? First and foremost pillar of the startup, right? That is the simplification of the policies. Now simplification, see, all of you probably aware about this ease of doing business index, EODB, right? Ease of doing business, that World Bank yearly it publishes the ease of doing business index of all the countries in the world. And over a period of time, if you see in last 5 to 6 years, right, the ranking of India has changed from 100 plus to now in under 50, right? So that shows that progressiveness of the government, the commitment of industry, the openness of the system, that whatever areas have been identified, by this international body, World Trade, the World Bank. So according to that, the changes whichever they are required to do, all the changes have been done from top to bottom to enhance the system or to make system very smooth and easy. So the first thing, that is the simplification, of the policies. Then, or we can say simplification of the policies and the clarity and the zero use of the intervention, human intervention. Otherwise, we all know that the government structure, or maybe the the system where documentation is required, paperwork is required, the approvals are required, and the person who has concept in their mind, who has idea in their mind, who has some innovative ideas in their mind, they get into all such documentation process and all such things, the innovation would be become zero. So government has planned under Startup India movement that first thing what is required to provide a platform where people can interact each other on the basis of innovation and not on the basis of the documentation. Because documentation sometimes it requires a lengthy process, it requires the hurdles, it create hurdles for the small and medium enterprises, it create hurdles for the startup. Because see, the startup who has idea in their mind, who has innovation in their mind, they don't know anything about the registration, they don't know anything about the licensing, they don't know anything about the approvals, right? They only focus on the concept or on the solution, right? Startups are what? Startups are nothing but the solutions of the problem what society is facing, right? And so first the first key pillar of Startup India, that is the simplification of the policies, simplification of the guidelines, simplification of all legal matters and everything, and most of the things now online, right? No need to go to government offices and sit there and meet the government officers and what we call it sarkari babus, right? And get their approval, wait there, document there. All such things have gone, the days are gone, right? We have seen the days where only the electricity bill, if you want to make the payment, we have to stand in queues for days or a week, right? If from the morning itself we have to go to that particular office and then we have to wait. So this is just an example, right? Not only targeting the electricity bill, but this is just an example. So government first thought about the simplification, and second important, that is handholding. Because see, once the policies are made, policies, once the policy is made user friendly, or once the policy is made friendly to the startup friendly, or maybe you can say the innovators friendly, then they require the hand-holding support from the authorities, right? This hand-holding support again in each and every aspect is required to the startups. Because as I mentioned earlier, see, because I have been involving myself into this startup system at GTU since last almost 10 years, right? 9 to 10 years. So this hand-holding support, because startups do not have much idea about other aspects. They are very much focused about their product, they are very much focused about their process, they are very much focused about the innovation what they wanted to make into the product, or in maybe that particular use of that particular product or services. So they require each and every type of hand-holding support. They may require support for the documentation, they may require support for the accounting, they may require support for the taxation, they may require support for the IPR, they may require support, all aspects of their we can say the non-technical aspects that they require. Technical for us, but non-technical for them, because for them technical is only their product, only their services. So this first pillar of Startup India that focuses on these simplification and handholding support to the existing startups, or maybe to the new startups, or to motivate individuals to develop their own startups. Second one, that is the partnership, right? This industry academic partnership, right? This again industry academic partnership, government word is missing here, but yes, because it is a government initiative, so government itself, they have to take the first step, and then industry and academic partnership can be developed. So industry and academic partnership, it is required, because see, nowadays we heard that, and we have been hearing, this particular you can say the complaint from industry, that we are not getting the well trained people, or well required people, those who can do directly the work in the society or in the industry. And academia is always of the opinion that industry is of the opinion, or industry focusing on their own limited work, whereas academia's role is not just to develop for one industry, but is to develop for the holistically development of student is required. So this is a ongoing debate which is going on every time. But yes, here in Startup India, the government has identified the tie-up, or government has proposed the tie-up between industry and academia, industry and institute, industry and the institute has to be tie up, and a definition may be given, problem statement may be given by industry, and the academia would think on the solution of the problem. And even see, it's now not limited to only industry, right? Even what I'm talking about, this SIH, the Smart India Hackathon, right? In that Smart India Hackathon, the ministries, right, of the state government and the central government has identified few definitions, or identified few the areas where anyone any student or any faculty can give the solution. So that is possible. So industry and academia, right, not only it is now limited to only academia, but also the definitions, the problems, the problem statements, all such things may be designed by these ministries, like Ministry of say for example IT, Ministry of Railway, all these ministries are there, those who are facing some problems in certain areas, and the startups, or maybe the academia or academic people, right, they would try to help the ministry and industry both for the solution of this particular thing. Now see, this new word, this is getting developed along with the development of the Startup India movement, that is the incubation, right? This incubation is very much necessary for the startups, because startups are still, we can say, they are in infant stage, right? Startups are always in the initial stage, and that is why they require support. They require continuous support in terms of finance, in terms of intellectual, in terms of place, in terms of space, in terms of technical know-how, in terms of the mentoring support. All such kind of supports are required to startups in initial phase. Like initial phase, again, see, the definition of initial phase would differ, startup to startup would differ, the company to company, or it may differ from person to person. But these incubation centers have been developed in last the 10 years almost, 7 to 8 years, 7 years almost, after 2016, right? 6 years it has been developed. And you probably, all of you know that there are Atal Incubation Center, AIC, right, has been developed in India. Then DIC, the Design Incubation Center, right? These two, especially the incubation centers, have been allotted by central government to various academic organizations. And luckily that we also have at GTU also we have, you know, this both the centers at AIC and DIC, you know, which incubate startups, which help you know, the startup to grow, and which help startup to carry out its activity in the desired manner. So these incubation centers, the incubation you know, the help incubation centers are there, you know, in the academic organizations. And the other concept, you know, the incubation is also there in the industries as well. It's not only the academic organization which would like to, you know, which would like to extend the help to the startups, but there are you know, incubation centers in the industry, right, where the startups related, like, you know, the startups which are related to that particular industry or that particular segment of the industry would incubate into the industry and get the advantage of mentoring, get the advantage of financing, get the advantage of technological know-how, get the advantage of, you know, documentation know-how, and all such incubation is also provided by many big industries as well. So the second you know, the pillar, second, you know, this second pillar of this startup, right, the second pillar of this startup India, that is, you know, the industry academia partnership and incubation, right? Because every, like earlier, like when, you know, the startup India movement was not initiated, everyone was working individually, right? The academic organizations working individually, the industries working individually, the government is deriving, you know, or the designing policies and implementing the policies. Now after that particular, you know, movement, now all these three main stakeholders are working in synchronized to each other, right? Every industry, every academic institute, and all government departments or organizations are now interacting each other and try to come up with a solution, try to come up with a conclusion which would ultimately help, you know, the society in a better way. So this would be the second you know, the pillar of Startup India. The third important pillar, that is a funding support and incentives. Most important pillar for the startups, because, you know, the startups generally always lack of money, right? Because they have concepts, they have know-how, but they do not have money, right? Most of the startups, most of the inventors, we can say, most of the innovators, we can say, they do not have sufficient funds with them. So government has designed, right, here the role of government and role of industry is very much important, because they both are having you know, sufficient, or maybe you can say the fund which are available with these agencies, which can be routed, which can be given to these startups to grow. So the funding support, you know, has been one of the key area, right? This funding support is one of the key area of Startup India movement, and we all know that many funding activities, many funding you know, the agencies, like what we have, this Smart India Hackathon, say for example, right? So this is not but a funding platform, right, where the good startups, the proved startups, you know, those who have proved themselves, those who have given those solutions, this kind of startups would be given, you know, the platform, and those startups would be given the funding as well. In addition to that, you know, there are incubation centers, there are you know, the grants which are available, like yeah, like what we discussed about AIC and DIC and all, you know, the funding agencies are there. Even the VCs are there, right? This venture capitalists and all, you know, seed funding is there. Various different types of fundings are available, you know, for the startups. But ultimately, you know, the say for example, the state and central, both governments are now you know, separately they are keeping the funds for these startups. Earlier there was no you know, discussion on the startup, there was no funding allotment, budget allotment for the startups. But now if you see the central government budget, or if you see the state government budget, there is a separate grant which are given, you know, which are kept aside, which are budgeted for these startups and incubation centers. right? Even earlier there was only the banks, right? Only the financial institutions which were providing the funding support, or which were providing the lending support, we can say, not the funding, but it was a lending, right? Because banks, obviously they are doing a business, so when the small and medium enterprises, they need any money, the banks would help them, but it was a lending, it was not a funding. Like generally funding is kind of a support which may not be given back, right? It is obviously for the development of the product, it is obviously for the development of the experiment for the products or services. And this funding support, see, many a time, that is why we used to discuss, you know, that the success rate of startups is less, right? But it's okay, because today success rate is less, but tomorrow after experiments, you know, the success rate may increase. Sorry, 1 minute. So the funding support and you know, these incentive plans for this particular Startup India movement is playing very important role, you know, for for the startups and for the innovators. So these are, you know, three pillars, three main pillars, these key pillars for you know, these Startup India movement. Okay, next would be, okay, this startup ecosystem. See, I just wanted to highlight few things, because most of you probably know this startup ecosystem, right? Because it is very much famous, you know, in India nowadays. The stand-up after the Startup India movement was launched. There are almost 41,000 or more than 41,000 startups, you know, which are recognized by DPIIT. This DPIIT is nothing but the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, right? These are, you know, before it becomes SMEs or MMEs, right? They are the startups, those who have started their journey, those who have registered, right? See, the Startup India accepts registration only of the partnership, the limited liability partnership, LLP, and maybe the private limited, right? So these three categories only which are there, which are registered on you know, this DPIIT platform, right? And they recognize, right? They are recognized startup. That means the government of India has recognized them, the government of India has approved them to be, yes, you are the startup, and then only they can get the benefit of the startup, they can get the benefit of the taxation relaxation, they can get the benefit of, you know, filing of taxation, they can get even the benefit of documentation, and all such benefits may be only received if they are recognized by DPIIT. So in last 6 years, right, in last 6 years, although the number is comparatively low than our few neighbors like, you know, China and like US, right, where the rate of startup is very much high. Every second person, every third person is doing something innovative. You know, idea is being developed by a group of people or group of organizations. But yes, at least this India, after the movement, after, you know, the Startup India movement, this 41,000 startups have been, you know, recognized by DPIIT. In that case, the startup, you know, from 590 plus districts of India have been registered. This is a big thing, right? You know, that means there are 45% of these recognized startups are from tier 2 and tier 3 cities of country. That means what, right? Earlier it was something like that, there are only the premier B schools like IIMs and, you know, the other autonomous institutes only, or like only IITs, right? When we talk about engineering, only IITs and NIITs and MNITs, right? Those are the institutes, premier institutes only. Their students only can think of something innovative way of doing things differently. But nowadays, this figures, this registration figures, or this you know, the DPIIT figures shows that there are startups which which are from tier 2 and tier 3 cities of India. That means the ecosystem has been developed, the strong ecosystem has been developed, right? Maybe one small city person or one small village person can think of the startup, and they can register into this DPIIT and get the benefit of the startups. Even see, when we at GTU, when we launch any policies, or when we make it open for registration in our the SSIP, or when we call about our AIC or DIC, we have observed that not only students from the engineering background, not only students from our affiliated institutes, but there are many professionals, those who are registering themselves as a startup in our system, and they always get benefit from our ecosystem which has been developed at GTU. Similarly, in the same way, the government of India, government of Gujarat has developed this particular system. But my point here is what is to provide insight that now the tier 1 cities are not only there, but tier 2, tier 3 small villages, and the earlier what we call the end part of maybe a society, or end part of the system, were left out earlier, but now they are involved. The holistic, what we can say, the holistic approach has been adopted in this Startup India movement. And in addition to that, when we talk about 45% of recognized startups, these startups are across 54 sectors and more than 200 subsectors of any particular industry, right? When we talk about the sectors are always a broad sectors, and when we call about a subsector, there are many various minor parts, various minor aspects of the sectors are being covered, and all such the figure, all such numbers, all these numbers are showing the strong ecosystem of startups in India after this 2016. Going ahead, with this particular slide, that top 10 highlighted sectors. Now here, these are the sectors which are, we can say, the primary focus of central government, primary focus of the Startup India movement. And you can see here that there is a finance technology, right? This is our domain right now, what we are talking about, the FinTech, right? This is the new area. This is the upcoming area where the government is also focusing on developing the FinTech, developing the startups related to FinTech, and providing them support in expected way. These are also these IT services and healthcare and education and all, no doubt these are our the primary area of focus, but we will focus on this FinTech technology, right? Especially because current discussion today we are going to do on this FinTech startups. So these are the top 10, you can say, the highlighted sectors where FinTech is also one of the domain. FinTech is also one of the area. FinTech is also one of the segment which has been again the focused area of government. This is about the little bit of overview of this DPIIT recognized startups. Just going through this 41,317 startups, more than 4.7 lakh jobs reported by 39,000 startups, and this is very much interesting, that creating around 12 jobs per startup, right? That means this would become a parallel the industry, we can say, when we talk about the big organizations, when we talk about the SMEs or MMEs. Along with that, this startup segment is creating planning to, or creating the parallel contributing, not in parallel, like not in equal contribution, but yes, it has started its contributing into developing the economy. It has started introducing the proportion of their efforts into the GDP and into the aspects of the economy. So out of these, these startups, that 22 are still in ideation stage, and 29 are in validation stage, and 37 in early detection stage, and 12% startups are scaling, like they are upscaling, they are generating revenue, and they are going in a different the level. So this is the overall about the startups. Now this is also very much important, that sector wise split, right? That sector wise split of the startup. When we talk about IT and ITES, right, it's a only sector which contributes 20%. 20% of these startups are based on IT and ITES, and that is why the another concept with government which is developed, and also we have at GTU also this TBI, the technology incubation, technology based incubation, right? That this particular incubation, technology incubation ecosystem is being developed at university, and even also another ecosystem, the part of ecosystem, that is the CIC3, what we call it, that is communication innovation co-creation centers, right? So this technology based solutions, technology based incubations, this 20% startups are related to IT or ITES, or based on IT and ITES sector, and this is our today's the segment, that is financial technology. See the 9%, right? It's third highest, we can say, right? It is a third highest in this particular sector wise split of startups, right? The second highest, obviously, it is healthcare and life sciences are there, that's having the 11%, but this 9%, this FinTech, right, entire financial technology which is getting developed over a period of time. So this FinTech, 9% of the contribution, 9% startups are there out of these registered startups are based on this FinTech technology or financial technology, what we can say. Others are having this 6% on e-commerce, 4% on logistic, consumer having 3%, artificial intelligence again, which is gaining over a period of time, this 3%, food and beverages based startup 3%, and edutech startups which are 4% in this particular, and 37% which are in others category. That means they are maybe related to the unorganized or many simple single industry, single company based startups are there. Maybe agri startups are there. Maybe other startups which are available in the registered on the DPIIT. Going ahead with this various states, is there any question you can ask? Obviously, right, anytime you can stop me and ask the question, but or maybe if you want to discuss anything, right, maybe also that you can stop me and ask. But because I'm going in a flow, so I may not ask every time that if any questions are asked. But obviously, if you have any participant has any question, then please do ask and do interact. So it would become an interactive session. Otherwise, it would be a one-sided, the delivery of the sessions only. Okay. So this is the performance of various states, in the startups. In 2020, right, Gujarat was ranked as the best performer state, right, in this startup India, which has been developed, right. Again, it was related to the, if you remember, all of you, the EODB ranks, right. India has adopted the same methodology, and all states were ranked in the EODB categories also. During that time also, probably in 2019, I don't know perfect year, I don't remember, but 2019 or maybe 2020, right, again Gujarat was the first in EODB as well. No doubt in 2021 or 2, that is after 1 year or 2, it slipped to second or third rank. But this as far as startup ecosystems are concerned, as far as India is there, this Gujarat was ranked as best in 2020. Then top performer states are this Karnataka, Kerala, Odisha, and Rajasthan. Like these are the top performers. Segment was given. Then Andhra Pradesh, Bihar, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Telangana, all are the leaders, aspiring leaders. So this is how the states are performing as far as the startups are concerned. So that proves that it is this ecosystem or the Startup India movement is not only limited to one state, or it's not only limited to the few western or maybe eastern or southern or northern India, but entire India is doing or is working on the startup in Startup India movement and trying to get into the momentum, so that ultimately the society would be getting benefit in terms of maybe their jobs, in terms of the good quality products, in terms of the easy process, right? All various benefits are there which can be received by society as well. So after going through this, as I mentioned earlier, that global startup ecosystem index, right? This I would like to discuss now, which was just published in 2021, right? And this according to this particular index, is this particular ecosystem index. This index is on the ecosystem, right? That they define a startup as any business that applies an innovative solution which validates a scalable economic model, right? They this particular agency, this particular organization try to index or try to give the ranking to the ecosystem, startup ecosystems of the world, right? And they call it a startup is what? Startup is just one thing only, that is a scalable economic model, right? Which can earn the company or the organization or the concept which can earn money, that is considered as startup from this particular definition. They have this three domain, or these three aspects, or you can say three variables, right? These three variables are there into this indexing. That includes the quantity, quality, and business environment. These three dimension, or these three variables are there, which would be detailed. They have carried out various the variables. They have identified the quantitative aspects, right? That how many startups are there, how many startups are registered, how many unicorns are there, right? How many startups are earning above the level of the certain revenues, how many people they have employed. So all these quantitative aspects, the first and foremost variable, first and foremost dimension of this particular global startup ecosystem index, first the dimension is quantitative. Second dimension, that is qualitative, the support, right, which is provided by maybe the government, maybe provided by the incubation centers, maybe provided by the academic organizations, right, maybe provided by these ecosystems, right? Ultimately these qualitative aspects, right, that how far the mentoring is provided, how accurate the documentation process is done, how easy the process is being developed for the startups. So all these qualitative aspects have been developed by that particular country. And the third and most important, that is a business environment. It is nothing but the few of the parameters of EODB, that ease of doing business, are included here. That how the support is being given to the startups, how the support is being given to the newcomer, how the support is being given to the new ventures, right, new organizations to develop their business environment. So on this methodology, right, on these three dimensions, this quantitative, qualitative, and business environment, these three dimensions, entire index has been developed. And I just wanted to discuss the country, the top 20 countries, what they have developed. It's a yearly, it's a yearly index, or it's a yearly ranking which has been done, by this particular organization. So these are the top 20, country. If you can see, that India is on 20th, right? Luckily, it has got its place in 20, and earlier it was on 17, right? See, look at in 2029, the India was on 29. In 2029, India was on 17, and then it leaps to 23rd rank, right? And then in 2021, India is able to achieve the place in top 20. You can see here the first one is US is there, second one is UK, third one is Israel, right? Almost there is no much change in first three places. Israel was on fourth, it goes to third, and Canada was in third place, it goes to fourth. So these are actually, see, the countries which are there, which are developing, the ecosystem, right? It is ranking, or these numbers are for the ecosystem which has been developed for the countries for their development of the startups. Then going ahead, top 20 cities, right? They also give the ranking in the cities as well. And you can see here, that Delhi, that is on the 14th place, right? And Mumbai, that is on the 16th place, right? These two cities of India are having its place, and the 10th one, that is the Bangalore, right? This Bengaluru or Bangalore is on the 10th phase. Earlier it was on the 11th, right? Earlier it was on the 11th place, it moved up to one place, and 10th place. And these are the places, actually, this Bangalore, and especially the Delhi, right? These are the states, or you can say the cities, where the fintech startups are more in numbers. We all know that, especially the Bangalore, right, where the fintech startups are there. When Bangalore is again known as the hub for these softwares and these fintech activities. So these fintech startups are there in the Bangalore, and there are three cities. They are not the states, actually, they give rank of the cities, right? So these are the three Indian cities where these ecosystem is much stronger, right, than rest of the part in India. Going ahead with the top 10 countries in Asia Pacific region, right? Especially in Asia Pacific region, you can see that India is on 5th number, right? And 43 countries are there. Number of ranked cities, 43 cities are being ranked, and global rank is 20, that already we have seen. But in Asia Pacific region, after the South Korea, first one is China, Australia. It's not only Asia, but it's Asia Pacific. So China, Australia, Singapore, South Korea, and then India, right? But you can see here that still we are almost the 50%, right, less score that has been generated between India and China. So still we have to go to a miles to develop our ecosystem. But yes, the development of ecosystem has been started. The people have started thinking in that direction. The government has started thinking in direction. The academia and industry also have planned their activities into that direction. So this is the outcome, right? This is the outcome, that in global index of ecosystem, startup ecosystem, the country is on top 20 as far as global index is concerned, and in top 5 as far as Asia Pacific region is concerned. Moving ahead with the cities, right? Here we can see the top cities of India with focus on industry, right? The first one is Bangalore, then New Delhi, Mumbai, right? Pune, Hyderabad, Chennai, right? And then Ahmedabad, right? On the 7th place, we have Ahmedabad as a city, right? And again you see the score. It's much less, right, than these first Bangalore. But you can see the change in the rank from 2020 plus 11, right? So you can see that Ahmedabad was in top 20, and now Ahmedabad is in top 10, right? The 7th place, which is there. So these three are having very less, the negative growth, that is 2, 10, and 20, Pune, Hyderabad, and Chennai. But yes, Bangalore has positive growth because it was there in top 10, top 20 global index also. But this is what the scenario of ecosystem, right? This is what the scenario of startup ecosystem as per this report 2021. And as far as the startup champions are concerned, right? These three unicorns are there in India right now. This Zomato, Oyo Rooms, and Rozerpay. Right? These three unicorns are there, which are notable startups. And because of the development of ecosystem, these startups have grown up. Like we all have once or maybe once in a week or once in a month we order on Zomato, right? So this is what the Zomato is famous on, and now it is the unicorn, right? This is these are the three unicorns in 2021, right, which has been recorded as far as this particular global index is concerned. Next, right, the important aspect about our FinTech ranking, right? There is a separate global FinTech ranking is available, right, and which is being done by Startup Blink, kind of a findable organization, right? They carried out this FinTech index, FinTech ranking, and top 20 countries of this in FinTech, especially segment what we are discussing today, or our FDP is on this FinTech only, right? So this top 20 countries in FinTech, you can see here there is no availability of India, right, in top 20, but it is on 23rd place, right? In the FinTech, India is on 23rd place, right? And that is what we can say the positive sign that in top 25 India is available, right? Then top 16 countries of Asia Pacific region, right, that India is on the 5th place, right? That India is on the 5th place, where these specific countries are there. Is India on the 5th place, where these 5th as far as Asia Pacific region is concerned, India is on the 5th place in FinTech startups. And now these in Asia Pacific region, and top 20 cities, when we talk about FinTech ranking of top 25 cities, where we could have our three cities, like New Delhi, Bangalore, and Mumbai, in top 25. You can see here that on 13th place New Delhi, right, on 20th place Bangalore, and on 23rd place Mumbai, right? So see, look at here, Bangalore has minus 13 place. So almost it was in top 3 cities, right? But in 2021, right, this FinTech startup, specifically with reference to the FinTech startup, Bangalore has come to the 20th place. But yes, still we have 25. In top 25 we have our 3 cities. Now, there are a few organizations which I would like to discuss on regarding to FinTech, right? That is the FCC, the first one, that is the FinTech Convergence Council, FCC, right? This FCC was formed under the Internet and Mobile Association of India, IAMAI, right, in 2018, and represents fintech industry and traditional companies in the BFSI. We all know that banking and financial service industry has grown like anything in last 10 years, and it is again one of the most recruiting industry and most contributing industry in terms of GDP as well, as far as service industry is concerned. So this FCC was there, and the purpose of council to encourage collaboration between leading BFSI companies and the emerging fintech startups. We all know that fintech and BFSI has a close relationship, because all whatever mobile banking services we are using, all the net banking services we are using, all payment gateways what we are using, all such are related with our BFSI sector itself. So this particular FCC would help in that way. And look at, these are the fintech ecosystem. These are the top five fintech watch of business, right? Then OK Credit, Neo, right? Then CoinSwitch and Avial Finance, right? These are five top fintech startups are there, which are available in the industry, and they are doing their businesses. This off business is for the raw material procurement, for the SMEs, for the manufacturing sectors. OK Credit, that is help small and business to grow with the product supporting account management, right? How to manage their accounts and everything. Neo, that is banking and wealth management, right? There are wealth tech startups also, right? There are wealth tech startups, right? And Neo is a wealth tech startup is there. Then CoinSwitch Kuber, right? It's a crypto trading platform, although it is not formal in India, right? But by levying the tax in this particular budget, because cryptocurrency, crypto trading has now government has imposed a tax on that. So that is one of the startup is available. And Avial Finance, right? That is app-based lending platform providing small ticket personal loans and all such. See, these are all fintech startups, and it is developed under this FCC. Another, that is PCI, that is Payment Council of India. Payment Council of India, that is an industry body that represents various non-bank payments industry players and payment banks. See, earlier when Paytm was initiated its business, it was just a wallet, right? Later on, during this demonetization and after even demonetization, they started with the payment bank, right? Now they issue the credit card also, they issue the debit card also, the all types of formal banking system they have introduced. So the payment bank concept, this Payment Council of India, they approve this particular payment bank system, and PCI is a part again of this IAMAI. And the vision of PCI is to proactively encourage the growth of digital payments for ushering in a less cash society in India. What we observed during COVID, right? If you just think that if there is no digitalization, if there is no digital India movement, if there are no wallets available, and without any, if you want to transact in cash only, so it would again spread this COVID in that another level also. So that is one of the advantage what India has got to control COVID from my point of view. It may be not studied, right? But it is maybe a perception. But yes, it has maybe one of the reason for less spread, maybe some in the second or first or third wave, maybe, for example. I don't know. I've not studied it, but I've just have this thing. These are again the fintech startups related to these payment banks, Bharat Pay, right? This SafePax. Then Khata Book, this is one of the best accounting, the fintech startup, right? Almost 60 million MSME, right? India's are using that. Cash Free is one of the again top rated fintech startup, right, which is Bengaluru based, and more than 50,000 Indians are using that. And M-Swipe, right, that is a mobile POS system. What we have the POS system of any banks, formal banks like HDFC or ICICI or SBI or something like that. This M-Swipe is one of the POS system which has been developed again under the FinTech startup systems. So these are these startups. Now I would just like to quickly discuss about the top 10 Indian FinTech startups. This India has there's more than 2,100 FinTech companies, and one of the highest FinTech adoption rates in the world. India is global FinTech powerhouse also. They have launched this FinTech in last few years. Globally, investors are bullish on the prospects of FinTech in India and having about billions of rupees in India. And it is also not less than 17 FinTech unicorns are available, right? This is very interesting to know that 17 FinTech unicorns are there in India, an Indian market. And this possible because of this digital infrastructure initiatives, dynamic venture capital landscape, favorable demographics, and including a young digital savvy population and rising middle class, right? These are the variables, or these are you can say that supportive aspects for this FinTech startups. Now top 10, first one, that is cash free. Just we have discussed, that is one of the unicorn that in 2015 it was launched. Payment and banking technology company. These are the you can see the collect and send money, offering services including payment collection, vendor payouts, wage payouts. Many solutions are there, and it almost serves more than 1 lakh merchant, right? 100,000 merchants, including all these applications what we use, the Zomato, Xiaomi, Tent, and Cred, and all these are using this particular platform. And this startup is not only working in India, but also it is multinational startups, we can say. It also there in these 3 countries, that is US, Canada, and UAE. Second startup, that is Cred Avenue. Now it is a Chennai based startups, founded in 2017, and lending in online lending specialist is there. Another one, that is Get Vantage, is one of the startup, Mumbai based startup, which has started its activity in financing platform, offering growth capital to digital first and e-commerce entrepreneur startup across India. They are also in the South Asian markets as well. Then Hyperface, it's a Bengaluru based startup, right? And they develop a card platform design and simplify credit card insurance or for FinTech e-commerce firms. This one is very interesting, that is Mahila Money, because today is World International Women Day. So they developed this particular digital banking for Delhi based woman only social network, right? This Mahila Money, right, they offer a small business loans, a kind of SHG, but they are registered under the startup, and they are providing micro loans for micro entrepreneurs to the women only in this segment. This is a multiple provides the mobile app that allows user to invest their saving in mutual funds and other instruments of the stock market. On Security, that is a health tech, what I was talking about, health tech, right? That health tech startup is there. Then they have the grown up businesses. Small Case is one of the startup, right? And headquarters is Bangalore, and Small Case is Wealth. Again, it's a wealth tech startup, right? Wealth tech is a part of tech, FinTech only. And FPL, that is the specializing in consumer credit, right? This credit accessibility and all such things are there, which are providing. And the last one, that is Zolve, right? This is a new banking startup targeting migrant workers, right? Because when we all know that when we go for a banking, when we go for formal banking services, if we do not have our the address proof and everything, our KYC, what we call it, right? So the bank account is difficult. but Zoll provides this particular for the migrant workers only. And this startup launched full scale services, and it's currently in India US corridor. It's providing provides the high limit credit cards, debit cards, and all other things are there. And this is one of the top 10 startups in India. Now the last portion of the few of the services, startup schemes, the schemes from the government of India. This SCC, first one, right, the Swaraj credit card, which is providing to the small uninterrupted credit for the working capital, for the block capital, for the handloom waivers, and ultimately it is for these self-help groups. Second one, that is CDB's 4E, right? This is 4E, that is what, end-to-end energy efficiency. This scheme is there, which provides sustainable finance to the organizations, to the startups. And the last one, that is the objective of this scheme is to backstopping of MSME, and it reduces their power, fuel, and all such thing. So these are all the schemes, few schemes only from the Ministry of Finance, because we are discussing this FinTech, and these few schemes are related to the FinTech is available. So this is almost done, the presentation, the discussion. Now I'm open for the question answer session. If anyone has any questions, please do ask. I hope everyone is alive. They didn't sleep in the session, because I didn't get any word. Yes, faculty members. Actually, it was very normal, session. But yes, I tried to cover most of the things related to FinTech startups, right? Because this is next gen, we can say, next generation, startups, and next generation futuristic startups. Even many of our students at IEV, what we have at MBA in Innovation, Entrepreneurship, and Venture Development, few students are also working on these FinTech startups. So it's a great area to explore. Yes, any questions, anyone?
Sir, I just want to ask, like, we are in this education field, right? So for students, if we want to recommend, if they have taken up, like for MBA, they have taken up this combination of IT and finance. So I guess they would be better off to think something on these lines, right? So what would be the best government organizations to approach for students?
See, for the startups, there is a common organization, that is what DPIIT I mentioned, that Department of Promoting Industry and that trade, right? This is the only organization which recognizes the startups. And another one, that is Ministry of Finance, is also there, but DPIIT would be the first one. You should target the first DPIIT. Ask your student to register the startup into DPIIT if it fits under the criteria of DPIIT level, and then student, obviously they will get benefit of this ecosystem, like ecosystem benefit. That means they get a grant, they get a exposure, they get a competition, they get a funding support, they get a incubation support. So many supports are available.
Right. Okay, sir. Thank you. I think Ministry of Finance would be at a very later stage, because it's not very easy to approach the Ministry of Finance directly.
That is right. DPIIT would be the first step, and through DPIIT you can get into once it is recognized by DPIIT, that means half task is done. Then other government organizations would definitely recognize, because first recognition is received. I hope it's clear.
Sir,
Yeah.
can GTU introduce such kind of subject or specialization for the students?
See, as far as your subjects are concerned, Gargi madam, it is available entrepreneurship, right?
Yes, yes, sir.
Entrepreneurship is there, but see, rather than subject, it should. I personally feel that there should not be subject on startup, but let student work on startup.
Yes, yes.
That would help them a lot rather than a subject. If we create a subject, student will go into passing of the subjects and getting marks into the
Exactly.
subject and all. It will be lost. The charm of the startup would be lost.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Any question?
Any more question, participants? If you have, we still have 5-6 minutes. So if you have question, you can ask from sir, because sir had raised very good topic. It's a startup and fintech. Yeah, someone is asking something. Yes, please.
No question, sir. The session was amazing, and the topics sir covered are good, and explanation is also pretty.
Thank you.
Right, great. Sir has actually combined two emerging topic or two very hot topic on, you can say it's a finance and startup. Both are very good topic for younger generation, we can say that. So collaborating two new topic is something like different. So if you participants, if you don't have any questions, so we can stop from here, and we will continue tomorrow at 10 with some more new interesting topics. For that, thank you, Kaushal sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Have a nice day, all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.